Eric Vollweiler or Vollweiler? Who-
Vollweiler.
Not Weiler. We're not in Berlin, are we? So, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very
Uh,
much.
So the other day, I think we were crossing paths, but I was talking about like the state of the film market, the independent film market, how it's constantly evolving, and for the worse and for the better at times. And we can go into like the benefits and why it's getting better and why it's getting worse. But for the longest time, the role of the film festival has been such an important role in a filmmaker's life. I mean, people don't realize it takes you 1 year to 1.5 years, 2 years to make a movie, to cut it, to get it off to distributors, to festivals, and then they get their first festival, and that's sort of their deflowering of this movie. So I guess my question is like, how do you see its role now? Because I know you're heavily involved in the film festival circle. Like, how do you see its role play when we're at a time where it's hard to get people to go anywhere, especially to the theater? Regular theaters are hurting, especially art houses are losing a ton of money. I don't know how they're staying in business. And secondly, there's, everyone's being faced, they're getting thousands of pieces of social media thrown at them. And as a result, content is forced to become short form, not feature. We're drifting away from feature where, we want these vertical formatted 4-minute episodes the way we
Right.
consume. So how do you see how that plays and how it involves your life and what do you try to do?
So, once COVID hit, most of the film festivals and events went online. And, for me, my background is working on sponsorship and advertising, and that became a lot harder to raise funds because the norm was to go to the film festivals, right? And they were face to face. Now I think people have started to go back, after COVID, people wanted to get back to that face to face interaction and to attend film festivals. And I think, their film festivals are constantly evolving, and there's new genres of film festivals that are taking place every year. I think now there's almost 13,000 international film festivals, something like that. They've grown. And so I would have to say that there hasn't people are still wanting to go to the theaters, especially at film festivals. The ones I've worked on, they still do attend. And when it comes to the audiences, they still like that experience. Again, there are some people that like to stay home and watch online, but a lot of film festivals do have that opportunity where they screen some of the movies on their websites as well.
Right, right. So I know that was something that was a hybrid, the sort of online screening. But the whole point of it, of a festival, and I don't know when you started, but like my first festivals might have been like in 91, 92 when I went to Sundance, and everything that followed. And a lot of the joy of going to festival was like seeing something that no one else has discovered, and discovering it along with a group, an audience at the same time. And then if you were the filmmaker, being able to interact with your local community. A lot of newspapers were very supportive. The local newspaper were very supportive about film festivals. They were able to get in this, their readership audience. But as you know very well, the print has died. I believe that the audience that reads news doesn't really exist anymore. They're getting news, but they're getting it in different ways. It's not going to say, "Hey, we're showing at mom and pop theater this festival. We've got a dozen films. The filmmaker's coming." I get the idea that that excitement is gone. That especially because you don't see a lot of stars. When I mean, so-called stars that are in these indie films because the budgets have shrunk. The movies are
Right.
much smaller. It just seems to me that there's a plethora of film festivals for a filmmaker to wade through. They have no clue. They're just, they go on Film Freeway and 100 people are saying submit for free, submit for free. Like they get you in the door, but then you don't know that there's cost to going to a film festival. I mean, your prints. I mean, your DCP. You got to hire a publicist or figure out. You got to get to the local papers somehow. You got to get an audience coming in, or else all of a sudden, I don't know the recent. My wife is a journalist, so she travels every. In fact, she's at Toronto now. But the past festivals I've been to, it's just the filmmakers' friends that show up, maybe 10 of them. You're not seeing a local. Now I'm in LA, so it's different. LA people don't go anywhere, like but I know that you were doing you're sort of in the smaller markets. I don't like aren't you in like upstate? Don't you cover upstate festivals? And well, name some of the festivals that you've worked on or contributed to.
Or actually, I started in Los Angeles, and the first event I worked on was the DIY convention,
Okay.
do it yourself and film, music, and books. I worked on the Silver Lake Film Festival in Los Angeles, the Pan African Film and Arts Film Festival in Los
Okay.
Angeles. Uh,
Okay.
at the time when I was out there, nowcasting.com, I worked on their film festival. Now Casting was an actors platform for
Right.
actors. I'm trying to think what else. The Marina Del Rey Film Festival, the Culver City Film Festival, Silicon Beach Film Festival in LA. So LA
Right.
was really my teaching. Seal Beach was another film festival I worked on, the Seal Beach Film Festival.
Right,
so,
right. Okay,
so
okay, okay. So I know all those. I believe I've been to probably half of those. Well, great job. I actually got an award at the Silver Lake Festival 20 years ago. So
yeah, so you remember, yeah, that was
great, fantastic,
Greg.
and
Yes,
yeah,
Greg
yeah,
and
yeah, and Kate
Roger.
Marcin, Kate
Roger.
Roger Mayer was a producer on two of my films, and yeah, and then yeah, and Kate Marciniak was there. Nice, nice crowd, but it's an incredibly competitive market. I know people think like, oh, these festivals, all they do is they make money, and it's just a name, but there's a process. I mean, like you got to know what you're doing. It's not like, okay, here's 1,000 movies that get submitted to us. What do we do? You've got to, line up the venues. You got to see if you have local support, first of all. And I wanted to know, how does that work? Like, what do sponsors, I'm sure sponsors are getting offered 100 festivals, like what do they use as criteria to say, what can you like, what's their benefit for them?
So, depending on the geography of the film festival, again, LA, New York, Miami, Atlanta, I mean, these are all, festival. There's so many film festivals in New York and LA, New York City and LA. They're all competing for the same sponsors, more or less, when you're thinking about New York and LA and some of the other bigger markets that have a number of film festivals in those cities. So, for example, the difference, what I realized and learned is that the genre film festival is definitely different than the general film festival. A general film festival, you think outside of the box. So, I've worked with plastic surgeons, I've worked with lawyers, real estate companies, insurance companies, dentists, chiropractors, art galleries, performing art theaters. The list goes on. Like you can, as a general film festival in general, and there are more general film festivals out there than genre film festivals. General screens all different types of genres of movies. And so, for example, you can contact all different types of businesses where, say, it's a horror film festival, you sort of have to focus on the horror genre, like costumes or makeup companies, or like so you focus on that genre, the genre itself.
Right, right, right. And for filmmakers who don't know, because a lot of times I think there's for some reason there's a gap in film knowledge in terms of the filmmaker. There's a new breed of filmmaker that doesn't understand how things operated the past 40, 50 years or whatever. Um, and they think they're owed so much by this festival, like we owe you because this is a great. Everyone thinks they have a great film and so forth. But in terms of that, what it actually is the role of the sponsor though? Like I know there were times I remember seeing like at Sundance they would say, well, this movie is sponsored by AT&T, our centerpiece. So how does that work in the mix, when you're now going to doctors and you're not going for corporate sponsors? I imagine the corporate sponsorship is dried up, correct? Because that's what happened to Sundance. The moment that their key sponsors pulled out, I mean, I don't know what their working budget was. My guess is with government funding and local funding and the sponsorship, I mean, their budget must have been what, like 30, 40 million? Maybe
something
more,
like that.
maybe more. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that probably shrunk to less than half now. So, so I guess the question is like it keeps the festival going, but what do you, well, how do you deal with it? I get what's in it for a dentist because you show a movie in a town, and this doctor, yes, I get it. But what was in it historically, or what is in it now for a corporate sponsor? If it's not Sundance, if it's not Cannes, if it's not Toronto.
So, like I said, each sponsor is different, and for example, they get different perks, right? So, for example, they'll get their advertisement or their logo up on the screen before all the films. There's one perk. They'll get public, if they do a higher sponsorship, they'll be placed in all the public relations and media from the festival, saying the presenting sponsor, or this sponsor
Right, right, right,
supports this film. There's also like the step and repeat where all the logos go on and you get all the pictures for social media. There's social media, which is a huge promotion right now. After COVID, I mean, social media was really started going up when it came to promotions for film festivals and films at the
right,
festival.
right. But I guess sort of what I guess my question, what I'm pointing towards is like, does the sponsor sort of dictate what movies are programmed? Like, so you say, okay, well, I know there's an Italian restaurant. Okay, Mr. Italian restaurant, we have this movie about food. Let's do a food night. Like, do you get that creative? Like, how does that work? Do you want to sponsor it in exchange for like, we'll give you food night at the movies or something?
Yes, I
Uh-huh.
think there are some festivals, for example, you have dogs, a pet store, right? The dog is in the movie. You go to the pet store and say, "Hey, listen, we want you to sponsor this film because there's animals in it."
Right,
Or if it is like a comedy and there's a certain type of food, like you just said, like Italian food. Oh yeah, you can sponsor this film because it focuses on an Italian restaurant. You know what I mean?
right. So I guess so. Like, in other words, I mean, you also curate the programming, right? Do you also program, or are you strictly involved in
So
the marketing
just
and the sponsorship?
marketing, sponsorship, and booking. I book professional entertainment professionals, and I've booked celebrities.
Right. So you coordinate with the festival. So do they have their list ahead of time and they say, we have these 20 films. What do you think works for you? Or do you say like, hey, by the way, I think I can get this car dealership to sponsor us. Do you have a movie that would work good for them? Like, how does that work? Like your synergy or your communication with the festival curators.
Right, the festival director. So I'll go out from the beginning and go after all the different genres of companies and businesses right from the beginning to the date of the festival.
Right, right, right. And how does it work? Is it sort of like year to year? We know it's not the same guy because this guy's under now, so we get it. We have to start all from scratch. We gotta beat the pavement from the ground up every year. Is it a struggle like that, or how does it work? Like, because I mean,
So
I'm assuming you have no local. There's very little local funding, right, or state. Clearly,
no.
no. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I mean, I do most of my research online, and then for that, it's basically the process is call and then email and then follow up, and hopefully, eventually, it's a numbers game. The more you reach out to, you hope that people understand what you're doing with promoting film and the filmmakers in that community and art. Of course, this is a form of art, filmmaking is. And
Yeah.
and so some people do see the positivity of sponsoring or advertising to the film festival markets. You know what I mean? Like, one of the best parts is, and I always say this, is that when people are going to the movies, they've worked all week and they're coming to a film festival on a weekend. They're there to have a good time. They're there to network. They're there to, meet other filmmakers, creative peoples. And there's two types of audiences that I don't know if you know this, but you have the filmmakers and actors and production, and you have everybody that worked on the films that are screening, and then you have the movie lovers, and those are your two types of audiences.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do you still see a lot of that? And the movie lovers are the ones that you keep seeing year after year without, and going and supporting their local communities. But I'm seeing less and less of that because people have so much choice of alternative content that's free or so forth. So are you still seeing that? Let's say your movie festival audience that they're seeing the magic still in movies. The
Yes.
the the esca the escapism, are you still seeing that?
For the festivals that I worked on this year and the last couple of years, while attending the ones I did attend, I did see that. Especially there was one in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, Jim Thorpe. I saw a lot of people really loving coming to the event and being a part of the film festival. Yeah, for sure.
Good, good, good. And like I don't know how it is anymore because I'm not on the festival circuit. But it'd be like this situation where, well, first of all, there weren't 10,000 movies being made every year. This is just absurd right now. It's ridiculous. There really needs to be, if there's any, the government's making regulations for everything. Make regulations on film, like you have to be old enough to make this kind of movie, or or you need this kind of amount of money before you qualify. But basically what you would do is it would be like, let's say, the top 50 movies, the top 60. You would see the same people at each festival. So there'd be like, you'd start in like Sundance, and then you'd go to Berlin, then you'd go to Cannes, then you go to like Toronto, Vancouver, and you would see the same filmmakers, and they were developing their whole sort of close knit circle of friends, these sort of festival friends, this community. And a lot from that, a lot of things developed, like movies got made because friendships developed. Financing became into place because could they intertwine with distributors without distributors getting hassled, or producers. So is that still very much a part of way of life? Is this film festival community?
I would say yes. Again, I haven't, the festivals I went to, the bigger ones over the years. I was at, I've been to Sundance. Sundance is one of my favorites of all time. I've been to Tribeca. I was at Toronto years and years ago. I've never been, I've worked on an event that took place at Cannes, but I never been to Cannes. A
Yeah,
lot of that was remote done. But I think there is still that, a lot of people do have the connection, no matter if it's an entertainment lawyer, a film financier, entertainment insurance, like everybody still does attend the major markets, especially for distribution. And film festivals definitely go, like the film festival directors and programmers definitely go to the major markets because they're trying to find
yeah.
films for their
Yeah,
festivals.
you would see the same film festivals and some of the same filmmakers at the yeah. It was pretty interesting, and that's how you develop relationships. Because like I not only met film festival people on the circuit, but I was meeting like newspaper critics. Obviously other producers and distributors. But there was this close. I don't know, what was the first year you went to Sundance?
2001.
Okay, so by that time it was bastardized, but I'm sorry, but I my first year was like 92, and believe it or not, you could walk up in the Deer Valley Lodge and get all the food you wanted. There were maybe 12 people in there. One of them was like Gregor Rocky. You could intertwine with these people, and then it just got too good for its own good, too big for its own good, and it lost the philosophy, because then all of a sudden it was being dictated and mandated by its sponsorship, and so a lot of that was political, and plus they were getting state and federal funding. So I think a lot of that, at some point when you get too big for your britches, like it does become political, and I think that's what happened to him. Although the programmers were smart, they were amazing, they loved movies, but there was always that component, like, for whatever I like, I've got to deal with the commerce side, and if we're not getting this big New York Times piece, or if we're not getting the New Line, Fine Line, Miramax deal out of Sundance, we're dead, and no one's going to come next year. We're not going to get this funding. Um, So I'm glad that in that sense it's become more democratic, but I just feel like there's a lot of like it's sort of like these ants scrambling, and like who's pulling them together, and how do you fit in? Like, do you liaison a lot with filmmakers? Or are you more liaisoning with this with the advertisers, with the sponsors at
I
these
would say,
things?
I mean, with me, it's more about making sure that the sponsors and advertisers are happy with their investment.
Yeah,
And, but I also help, I also like to network with the filmmakers, and, a lot of filmmakers like to learn about how film festivals are put together. And,
sure.
funding, of course, is sponsorship, advertising, submission fees, ticket sales, then merchandising. I mean, that's really where all the money comes to put on a festival. And,
Um,
like what you were saying about the filmmakers, back to one of your questions too. We didn't go over this yet, but having if a filmmaker does know PR and marketing, they can really it's so important for them to know that. And again, as a filmmaker, when they go to film school, they don't teach PR and marketing; they just teach filmmaking. And that's
right,
something that or if they know, once they understand the publicist, the publicist is there to help them fill the seats. Because I was at a film festival I worked on in Buffalo one year, and I had a filmmaker from LA at the festival that submitted his work. He flew in from LA and he's like, there's nobody here. And it's like, he was blaming the film festival for doing the PR for his film, and he wasn't a premiere; he was just a regular film screening there. So it wasn't the film festival's fault. He should have
right.
been promoting his film.
But see, that's what they don't teach you. And I remember like the moment I got booked somewhere, I was like, okay, first of all, I don't know. I mean, now it's different, but at that time there were like four papers in each town. So how hard is that? So you gotta get those four
Right.
papers, hit those four papers before 200 other people do. So you got to get to them. Try to figure out if there's a restaurant that'll sponsor your party. There's a lot, and a lot of filmmakers. It took me the longest time to promote either, because there's this resistance. I don't know if you see it. Like, you see very few shameless filmmakers that are willing to do anything out there. The filmmakers don't seem to want to promote their films for some reason. I'm not understanding why. Like, they think they've done it, it's out there, and they think, let somebody else do it, and then when it's not a hit they say, okay, well, it's not my fault, I made a good movie. Well, no, you got to, there's a process in making something work.
Correct. That is very true.
um so I don't know how, if we're too far ahead to educate people, or can film festivals educate more, get more into the educational thing, or are they just so busy trying to put together next year's festival? Because the moment you're done, you got to start thinking about, what do I do for next year, right? For sponsorship and funding, what do I program? um and you're not a programmer or curator, but I remember people thinking like, okay, well, I know such and such movies coming down the pike, so that means we'll have him in LA, so we could get him in San Francisco then, or we'll get him in Chicago. And there was a lot of strategizing and coordinating amongst film festivals and programmers, and I just don't know how it is today. I mean, it would seem to me the only type of festival that could bring in an audience by the filmmakers doing zero necessarily is like these genre festivals that you talk about, stuff that's that focuses on cult, or even LGBT. The I don't say fringes, because they're not fringes, but they're
Right.
specific uh, types of specialties. And those seem to have the most supportive, because I think, especially like the horror film festivals, that the curators, the programmers really love these movies.
Right.
They come from a filmic background, whereas I don't know your average festival, if they I question whether half of them really care about movies. I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't want, knowing what's involved, like, I would not want to put on a film festival. So um
So
yeah, go
when it
ahead.
comes to programming, I mean, you usually have like a board of people, like a group of people that will watch films, or one or two, programmers. And again, I don't. That's not my background, but I think it's a
Sure.
pretty cool job to watch all these films. But again, you have to go over sound, lighting. You have to go by all the guidelines and rules to make, to vote for the top films that will be screened. And then
What
also,
is yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I think you're right about the genre film festivals for sure. I mean, those are, I mean, you have the general or genre, and those are the two types. So,
Yeah, what would you say is the largest development you've seen? And you could name a couple of developments. Ever since you started, what is the drastic change that you've encountered and lived through, uh, as it relates to what you do? What changes?
so for me, I've learned a lot of different, techniques, and I've learned again when it comes to selling sponsorships and advertising. And I think also what you were talking about, educational aspect, which are the panels and the workshops that the film festivals put on, and those are so important. Say I would say the top two panels or workshops would be film financing and film distribution. Then you can do screenwriting, casting, cinematography. You can also have a workshop or panel on public relations and marketing. And then,
Right.
so I think, the more that a film festival can offer a filmmaker, the more successful the film festival will be. And I don't know if I'm answering the question. I'm trying to give some more, some information.
Yeah. No, no. I mean, you're on the right path. You're on the right track. Because I've just been so busy doing my own thing that I question. Like, I stand back and I say, like, what happened? Like, everything was going so well in the '80s through the 2000s about education, about films, watching the right films, and getting the festivals, getting the right audience interested, getting the distribution, getting the proper marketing, and now it's all thrown out the window, and it's kind of scary. Because your main demo for movies, which is now the 18 to 24, they don't watch movies, and so every year I go to these different festivals, and the average age would be like 50 years old, 50 plus, and then they keep getting older and older. You're not seeing Mr. out of high school or Mr. in college. Like, let's go to this festival, like because I this is maybe like a Cassavetes movie, or this is like a Bergman movie. You're not seeing that, and a lot of that has, ironically, the lack of education has to do with our own educational system, because I don't think film school's really taught properly anymore. I mean, if it is, it's not well attended. I just think it's the inherent in the educational system, and how we love our phone, and we don't need. I mean, think about movies that documented form for over 100 years, 1893. So that's 140 years, right? So
Right.
um and I'm not saying it's a dying art form. I'm just saying it's a less useful medium now. I'm not saying the visual medium is less useful. I'm just saying the idea of movies, and that's a little scary. And I don't know how when you approach people, you know what what is your process? Can you tell me, like, how many times, like, for every 100 people, does one say yes to sponsor?
Right. Well, I think it really depends. Like, for example, I just finished a festival in Queens, New York, called the Festival of Cinema NYC, which it was their 10th year. And I reached out to about, again, sometimes I'm working on more than one festival at a time, but I reached out to about 150 to 200 companies in general,
Yeah,
different genres. And I only closed one, but that one was a bigger sponsorship that I've done. It was a law firm, and I was really proud of myself because finally, like, out of all the over the years, I've worked with a lot of smaller businesses, which add up, of course. Small businesses add up, and some
yeah.
of, so um, what I was saying back to this film festival, it was a higher sponsorship, and it was really exciting that they decided to go forward and do everything that they got offered, of course. So back to, yeah, I mean, again, it's a numbers game, and also it's also understanding what you have to sell, the different opportunities and the different perks, and really getting the point across on that level.
Yeah, it's basically you're like the invisible man. You're putting the gas, you're running, you're acquiring the gas so that the machine can run, and you're the understated sort of hero. Like you're so that the projector can run. It costs money to run a projector. I mean, it costs less now because there is no projectionist on digital, by the way. So, and then managers, your average manager, they used to have managers at theaters now before, like, to sort of help introduce shows. They haven't do that anymore because, like, kids that are working for minimum wages, I'm not going to introduce your movie at a festival. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So you gotta bring your own staff. It's a lot of I commend you guys, and especially since there's really no money to really make, like, these festivals have what, maybe three people, key people on a team. You got your programmers and you have your marketing people, marketing guy, PR, sponsorship. So um
And your festival director and your publicist
yeah, yeah, well, exactly. Well, I mean,
and your graphic designer.
yeah, but these days those are one person.
Right, right, right.
So,
And the smaller, I was going to also say that back to before you were talking about the audience, the older audience, which the movie lovers in general, we're not talking about high school or college kids. We're talking about the movie lovers, like I would say 30 and up, or you say 27, 30, all the way up to 90. But in general, the movie lovers have a higher income level and a higher education when it
right.
deals to independent film.
Right, right. But my point was that these are the ones that have historically supported, like, independent and art house movies, and the fact that they're dying off. Um, you know, just the fact that my dad's watching movies on his phone, that's a little scary. I mean, just even to get him to get to stream that he's streaming is a little scary. And a lot of these people are the ones that would, faithfully come out to support their local art house, and they don't.
Right.
So, and that attrition rate's not being replaced by any new people. So I had thought that ultimately the bitter pill is that festivals are going to need some online component to survive. And you said you're doing online screenings, which I get it. I get it. I think it's the wrong way to watch movies in a festival environment, but I get it that that's what is needed, is this online component to get you. Listen, just doing a festival and having 20 people watch it at a show on average, that's nothing compared to beaming around across the country and getting maybe 1,000 viewers to watch a movie. I agree with that. And if you tie in a Q&A on your streaming broadcast, I think that's one way of educating people. But then, that's the case. You're fighting against 10,000 other festivals.
Correct. You are. You are.
you and then who's gonna everything takes time. Just taking time to record something and to beam it up and to stream it. It's. Um,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you obviously weren't planning to say. I don't know that if, when you went to college, you were saying, I'm gonna do film PR. Did you go to communicate? Did you get it? Maybe you did. Did you graduate in communications or?
I went to school for performing arts drama. Theater was my
Okay,
associates. And that
okay,
started in upstate New York, where I'm now, where I'm based, where I live. And then I transferred to Boston. I went to Emerson
okay,
College.
okay.
And then I went to school for management communications. But I really started PR and marketing in the theater and in theater. I did internships on Broadway and Equity Theater, which was really awesome. And then
Hmm.
I went from theater internships into casting, but my first two film festivals I ever volunteered and worked on was when I was in Boston, the Nantucket Film Festival.
Hmm.
I was in charge of all the college students for one of their fundraisers, which took place in Boston. And then after I finished my internship at DreamWorks in LA for my final internship from Emerson, my girlfriend at the time was like, "Have you ever volunteered at Sundance?" And this is back in 2001. And she's like, you got to come
Yeah.
and sign up. And so I went, I volunteered, and I was a crowd liaison at the Egyptian Theater. And
That's awesome.
everything, Sundance taught me everything. It was really Sundance. It wasn't the fundraiser. I mean, the fundraiser definitely did a lot too, but being at Sundance as a volunteer taught me everything about the film festival. It really, that was it.
Yeah,
And
I mean, they made you pound the pavement. Whatever you did there, I mean, you were assigned for one thing, but you had to do something. Yeah, because I remember talking to Roger, because Roger was print trafficking, and he was moving back and forth all this stuff, and like I think it was a situation where the movie was so popular that they had to move it into two theaters. So he had to like, at that time it was film, it was actual film. So he had to like, he had to take one print of the film or one section and move it to the next theater while it was still running in the other theater. And like, and keep trading. It was something very bizarre. He says, "What the hell's going on?" Like, so, but that's the only environment that could teach you is being hands on. Like they could teach you how to fight, but unless you're actually in combat, you never know what it is. So um, yeah, that and at that time, that was right when the festival was like awesome. It was really really awesome before it became you know y- where it became like social media festival or something. So
right.
yeah. Well, okay, so performing arts. So not really filming. So do you enjoy movies? What was the impetus? Like, what attracted you about? And you could name references. Like, I don't know what kind of movies you like. What?
So I like all different types of genres, but again, when I'm at a film festival, it's kind of funny. I'm more about networking when I go to a film festival that I worked on than I'm there sitting and watching movies as
Right,
much.
right, right,
But
right. I,
at
I, I,
home,
I I was saying you as a person. I'm not saying like, oh, this movie I'm showing at a festival is changing my life. I didn't mean that. I mean like, let's say historically, like like, do you like Orson Welles? Do you like Hitchcock? I don't know. Do you like, do you like
um,
Godard? Do you like Godard?
I like, I guess, Spielberg, of course, is one of Martin Scorsese. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I,
um,
I was just trying to figure if your sensibilities were more East Coastal than West. Um,
Mike
Oh, Mike,
Nichols, of
Mike, Ni-
course,
Mike Nichols is fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
Brian Singer.
Bryan Singer. Mm-hmm. 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 Um.
Um,
y-
Yeah, I mean, again, there's it's hard. Of course, then there's Shakespeare, Othello. I mean,
Well, listen. If we all followed Shakespeare, we would not be in a lot of trouble in our lives. Because Shakespeare
right,
tells you everything to know about life, about conniving and who's going to stab you in the back, and that's
right.
all. Just reaching. That's all you need about life. Better than anything. Better than any schooling. Um, no, I was curious. Like there used to be sort of these firm divisions. Like you had the New York, you had the East Coast group of filmmakers, and you had the West Coast. I don't want to say there's a rivalry, but there was a rivalry. And do you see that now, or do you see this sort of globalization as a filmmaker now, as opposed to
Um,
I'm from New York and I made this movie, and like because even like those New York movies looked all the same kind of color, the bluish color. You know what I'm talking about. You can see a New York movie when you see it versus like an LA movie, right?
right. I think people are. I mean, I think when they're shooting in the city that they're from, there's always sort of that competition. Like our
Yeah.
city is better, but not. In general, I would say that all the filmmakers, when networking and networking at festivals, they don't really care where people are from. They just want to meet new filmmakers, and you
Hmm.
know actors are trying to get new roles in other films, and I mean it's
Hmm.
all pretty good. It's all pretty straightforward
Yeah,
and good.
well, I mean that's news because yeah, because I saw it, but I mean I didn't see it just within the film community. I really saw it in because I spent a lot of time in New York back and forth, and I really saw this sort of like I don't. what they would call intellectual superiority to to the West Coast people. I saw quite a bit of that, by the way. So I don't know, like if that's they like to pride themselves on being scholastic. They read the New Yorker or they I don't know. So I wonder how much that really has changed. Because I know that the newspapers are struggling. And newspapers are sort of our culture anyway. That's our culture, and when you lose the documented culture, like no matter how biased it was, it's still a documented culture, and that's a little, that's a little scary. And when you're doing your sponsorship and marketing, like how do you even know who you're promoting to? Like who's your audience for festivals? You just whoever the local person is, or like how do you what do you do?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, again, I focus, like I said, on all different, for example, Jim Thorpe, I had a huge, oh, what was it? A huge, it was, oh, like a lodge, like a very big lodge, or, I mean, I think, for example, it depends on the company or the business that you're promoting to. And um, can you repeat that again?
Well, no, I meant like it kind of is you and it's not. I know you're on the sponsorship level, but
Right.
how how do you approach the audience if you don't know what it is to fill those seats up at a festival? Like, how do you fill it up if you don't know
Oh,
who you're approaching? Is it people who go to that theater regularly? Oh, there's a festival. Let's go check it out. Like, how do you? I don't even know how you navigate.
oh, again, I think that's more of the PR side and more of
Right.
the festival director that deals with that.
Yeah.
I'm just focusing on fundraising.
So then what happens if you don't raise 20 grand? Do they fire you or how does that?
No, no, I mean, because I bring extra money that they didn't have in the first place.
Okay.
So I look at it, that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Before they brought me on, they don't have that 5,000 or that extra 10,000.
Right, right, right. But I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you get your leads. Like, is there some sort of reverse engineering process where you say, okay, well, now this festival's hired me. Like, you're not going to approach 10,000 doctors in the state in the whatever. So
Oh,
so
right, right.
how do you reverse engineer and get your leads? Like, how does that?
Oh, yeah, it's all online. Everything is
I
on.
mean, is it like a phone book? Like, okay, here's Doctor A to Z. I mean, is that how you do it, or like I want to know?
Oh, yeah, no, I use Google.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So that's like, so you're literally starting from scratch every. I mean, I guess you could say every year you could say, "Hey, we're doing it again this year. Do you want to sponsor?" Right? But do you get return people coming back?
Sometimes I do, yes.
Yeah, because it seems like it'd be a one-off. Like a doctor would be like, "Yeah, okay, well that was fun. I'll do something else. I'll invest in gold instead." I don't
Right, right, or
know.
crypto,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, I mean, money or currency or commodity is what makes the world go round. So your job will always be needed in some form. Everybody needs money, everything, power, everything.
Right.
Just to breathe costs money. So where do you see like what you do headed? What happens if it's not films? Then is it what? Then all of a sudden are you gonna
Oh, I
get?
have I have another passion. Um,
Mhm.
so my biggest passion and something I really want to get back into is fundraising for inner city children in the arts.
Good.
And that's something I've done in the past. Um, it's something that really means a lot to me, not just because inner cities, they grow up in areas where there's violence and drugs and, families are, you know, uh, different types of. I guess what I'm trying to say is that's something that means so much to me, and I want to do more of that. And that's what I'm hoping to, finish. I'm old. I mean, I'm 49, but I feel like that's something that when I leave this earth, that's something I can give back to.
Well,
It's
what does that mean you want to do that? Because it exists already. You're saying that you want to join the team or you want to start your own social program, like, or what do you?
Oh, I'm open-minded to joining or starting my own type of organization.
Yeah,
Either way.
because a lot of that is relying on local educational systems for funding. Because they used to bus out kids to opera. You get to see free opera here, which was amazing. But I guess the response was so bad that kids just. I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. You don't take a 10-year-old to go see opera. First of all, you don't. But I like what they were trying to do, and so I feel that. But don't start the opera. Take them to the Nutcracker first, and
Right,
then
right.
then go up to Mozart or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, so what I'm saying is, if there isn't a need anymore, like I don't know what's happening in Sesame Street. I heard Sesame Street's gone really crazy right now, so I don't know. So they were teaching a lot of this early on as kids, this education. Even Mr. Rogers was so. Naturally, people were sort of musically inclined and storytelling inclined, but that's gone now. So I don't know what attention span you get from a 10-year-old who's watching YouTube now,
Right, right.
and
I
yeah, and they're watching this demon, whatever this, this K-pop demon hunter.
oh no.
Listen, I'm the fool because it's making billions of dollars, but that's the new craze that everyone's watching. Do you know what it is, by the way? It's this Netflix series. It's every 4-year-old to 10 to 12 is obsessed with it. So yeah.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, well, neither have I.
But I do think, I mean, that's what, if you ask me what I want to do for the rest of my life, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. And so, but I was asking you specifically, how do you see the role of what you do, like festival fundraiser? How do you see that evolving over the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years? Like, is there room to grow as money gets worse off? Is there room to grow now? Is this sort of, is the, because I know ad dollars have dropped, because even my ad dollars that I spend on Google has dropped off considerably than what I was spending 10 years ago. Uh,
I think it depends on the size of the film festival, how old the film festival is, and how large the audience is. The larger the audience, the more likely that the more funds will be given to a film festival.
No,
And
we've talked it. We've talked. Sorry, we've talked about festivals, but we really haven't talked about. And I didn't really ask you, but it seems like you are these film markets. Do you get involved in these film markets like the
AFM,
yeah, the AFM, the Cannes Film Market, the Berlin Film Market. There used to be another market. Well, New York. Yeah, I don't know. I think actually this is before you started. New York had a film market called the Independent Film Market at Angelica, and they had it from like '92 to '99. But that was when before IFP West, and then they had a
right?
fall. They had a falling out, and then the market went by the wayside. But it was a good market. I went there a lot. They were showing clerks.
Oh, very nice.
They showed
So
clerks there the first year. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I've never been to a film market or I've worked with a film market.
Okay, okay. Because that's another thing where it's where it seems to me it's an extension of a festival. So now, like, okay, now you've got your festival. Now what are you going to do at the market with your film? And it seems like that's a whole gray area where no one's being taught. Um, what to do, so but how will you adapt, like, as you find yourself, like how, like, what sectors are you adapting to for sponsorship? I know you're saying local doctor, whatever, but do you find yourself approaching more tech sponsors?
Oh, right. Depending, again, it depends. Like, for example, we just did a festival in upstate New York and it was a sci-fi film festival. So we did go after sponsors that dealt with, for example, GE was one of the sponsors we went approach, or,
Okay,
or another sponsor did chips.
okay,
Global Foundries is the company. They do Microsoft chips. Like,
okay.
so,
And
yeah, I mean,
how does that work? Do you pick up global? What is it called? And you just type in and say, do you want to give me some money for a festival? How
really,
does
really, I mean,
that?
it's basically saying who, what, where, when, how, and why, and what your money is going, what you're getting for your dollars that you're going to
Right.
spend.
Right. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a one-way thing, isn't it? They're giving you money, and then maybe you're giving them a few tickets and so forth. But there's no, they're not investing in the festival, right? It's sort of like what it is. It's pure advertising, right? I mean, and I mean, it's branding is how they look
It
at it.
is branding, but sponsorship is usually more than advertising at a film festival.
Right. Um,
For example, if like for example, Sundance had Audi, right? I think they had Audi one year. So Audi's driving up and down Park City, driving celebrities.
what a mess. Yeah, and, that's the thing. That's the danger you always take is how far do you go for the money? You've got to fund your organization, but yet you've got to deal with these sponsors and what their demands are. And, like I don't know how political it gets on the film festival market, but very well here on the media, the advertisers sort of dictate like what can they'll say I'm gonna pull my ads if you do that. Uh so it's always been political where people are they're weaponizing their money.
I
Uh,
think it depends too on how again how big and how old the film festivals are. Some of the younger festivals, not as much, but some of the
well,
the major markets, I would say, for sure, like we were talking about.
but aren't you seeing like a fast turnaround rate? Because a lot of the same people that ran the festivals are not there anymore. So you're getting new people coming in who don't maybe understand the game or the structure how it works, right?
That I'm for me, I've been working with the same people over the number of years. So
Yeah,
but and again, there's the new film festivals that are popping up every. There are definitely the new film festivals that are popping up, and that's then working with those people is different because you haven't worked with them. So
yeah. Okay, well, name one or two movies that you're proud of that were in a festival that you got sponsorship for. Like, name two films, whether they had distribution at the time or whether they didn't. What were two like seminal
oh man, that's
movies?
I most of the film festivals that I worked on don't
Pulp
have
Fiction,
distribution reps.
Reservoir Dogs. No, just kidding.
No, no, I know, but I didn't work on sponsorships for that. Silver Lake. What did I remember? Silver Lake. Yeah, I can't answer that because
uh,
I. That's a good question though, but these films I don't again after like the ones I've worked on I don't know if they've gotten distribution or not, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't deal with that after. I just focused on the production of the festival.
Okay, what are two movies that changed your life, if it did?
Empire. Oh, okay. Empire of Their Own. It's a documentary by Neil Gabler. He went
Okay.
to US. He's a USC grad. I
What's the
think he
subject? What's the subject of that?
the founding fathers of Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, oh,
Carl
okay.
Carl
Oh, so,
Lemla, Zucker, Mayer, William Fox, the Warner Brothers.
Lasky, Lasky, right? The Lasky guys from Paramount. Harry Cohn. Well, Harry Cohn comes later. Harry Cohn comes in the '30s for Columbia. But yeah, okay. Oh, so it doesn't go
Charlie.
silent? Yeah, yes, yeah. So it's not one of those because Kevin Brownlow did a good documentary on the silent era, but these guys, yeah, maybe I know this movie. I don't know. I don't. Yeah.
Another good movie is A Kid Stays in the Picture.
Okay, so you just picked two documentaries. So how did these two documentaries? One of them is about an alleged murderer, right?
Oh, is it? I remember watching that. It was a long time ago, but I think it was just a cool Hollywood film. He started
Okay.
in retail and then he came to LA and he
Oh, he's got a great lifestyle, and he could only do it during the '70s because Paramount was bankrupt, so he was able to do like Love Story. I don't think he backed Death Wish, but that was a Paramount. That was Dino. Well, he worked with Dino De Laurentiis, so all that stuff went to Paramount. And then you got to do Chinatown, right? And yeah, I mean, he had a great life. He just got stuck in the excess of Hollywood and leading. Well, I mean, the documentary covers it well, but it's coming from his voice. He only
Right.
just, you know what I'm saying? He just talks about a murder, but he doesn't really go into details. So,
Oh boy.
and it's a fascinating story in itself. If somebody, some people have written a book about it and so forth. Yeah, yeah. Uh, so you don't like, so is there a particular vintage of movies that you like then? So those are all 2000 movies, so from the 2000s. So there's nothing like you're not like an 80s guy, Brat Pack, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink,
Oh
or how?
yeah, Breakfast Club. Thank you. Pretty in Pink.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen all of them. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. And they didn't influence you.
Oh, no, I mean, they were great films. Goonies, one of my favorites.
Goonies, yeah.
Empire, Empire of Their Own. Swing Kids is one of my favorites.
Swing Kids, yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, Death of a Salesman with John Malkovich and
Well, that was a
Dustin
TV
Hoffman.
movie. That was a TV movie, so that sort of counts, but it wasn't a theatrical movie. Yeah, Volker Schlondorf directed that. Yeah, that was a good adaptation of that. Yeah, when you were growing up, so let me correct. So you grew up on the East Coast, right? Then you moved to LA, then you go back to the East Coast.
I actually grew up, I was born in Pennsylvania, then I moved to Kansas City.
Okay,
From Pennsylvania to Kansas City to New York, from New York to Massachusetts, from Massachusetts to Los Angeles,
okay.
back to New York.
What channel did you like to watch movies on as a kid?
Oh, as a kid, Turner
Was
Classic.
Oh, Turner. Okay, Turner. Okay. So, but there wasn't like a local channel that showed late at night, like cult horror movies or kung fu movies or weird movies. Nothing like that. Like, as in New York, there was WWOR, and they showed all these kind of cool movies. So you're talking Turner? Yeah, I like Turner. I like Turner. That was like, well, I mean, Turner wasn't the first of its kind. It was Bravo had experimented with the curating technique of somebody introducing a movie. It was David Anson from Newsweek, and he would host these movies, and then sort of Turner took over that, um, uh, that format. But even that little format of Turner, like introducing a movie, like what's his name? Who's the host? He's passed away anyway. You know who I mean on Turner. Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking. Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. So even that puts perspective into watching a movie that today the average person doesn't get. They're just clicking on a movie and not realizing, like, it was made at a time during political turmoil, or this is what was going on. There's no context with people how they're watching stuff, and so the average person is saying, "Hey, this is a new movie."
Right,
Like I believe that the American market's sort of finite in terms of viewership and what movies they've seen. So we're seeing new people in India saying, "Hey, this is an interesting movie," but it's like a 20-year-old movie, and they don't get it. Or they'll say, "Well, why does this look bad like this? Why is it shot on video?" Well, because it was shot on video 25 years
right,
ago. So, so there's no context that we've lost, and so hopefully festivals could keep that, you know, at least like I would fight to the grave to keep festivals open. Like, if you could take away the theater, I'll still have a white sheet project on a wall of my house. That's the festival.
right, right, right.
But get a situation where people are coming in, talking about a movie, watching something, and by the way, like, festivals are the only place in most cases where you can only see a movie. That's how it was. Like, you know what I mean? Because they never got distribution, so it'd be the only way to watch a movie. Did you know that? Like, in the 2000s, like, now more movies get distribution because anybody can do it.
Right,
At that time, like, you could only see certain movies from, like, Czechoslovakia at a festival, or you could only see this French movie here. And that really made festivals important, because you were like, oh, well, I want to see this because I know I'll never get a chance to see it. uh
correct.
and so that that's dropped the ball, because now everything's available, right? Almost everything's
Right.
available. So, um well, what if you don't meet your quota end of the year? Are you going to do a podcast then?
Well, every festival is different. I have two coming up this to finish the year off.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
When is the fiscal? How does that work? Like, how does that? Do you start it? I mean, when is your fundraising peak?
so my deadline for the New York State International Film Festival is September 15th. So I'll be done next Monday, a week from today.
And
For
how'd you
the
do? How are you doing?
so on this one.
I don't
Again,
get that.
the one in August, a lot better. That
Okay,
was definitely good. The one in
give this man $10. Give him 20. Give this man 20.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, how does it work? Do they just say like get what you can get, or do they say like no, we need 10,000 to get this theater, we need 2,000 to print the brochures? Like, how's that work?
that's how it works. That's the festival that I have coming up in December, which my deadline is November 20th. I need to raise about 5K, so I hope I can do it. I mean, it's like I got to just keep on hitting the pavement and
Well,
hoping that
we have 30. What do we have? With 36,000 fans, guys. Give this guy a dime, all of you. Give a quarter, all of you. No. Each of you give a quarter to him now.
support independent film at its highest.
um, well, great. I think we covered. I think we covered. I think we covered enough. I mean, this was the point of this wasn't to go into tools like you must do this, you must do that. I think it was just generally like how to navigate this jungle, this Amazonian jungle, once you've made a film. And that there are guys like you that are behind the scenes that we don't even know about. Like, you're actually the first fundraising guy I've talked to. um I just assume like, okay, there's money coming through from somewhere, but nobody tells you there's a guy calling out the phone book.
It is the film book. It really is. But that's what's so amazing because you get, like a pet store, or you get like a jewelry store, or like a
Yeah,
real estate lawyer, or you get a plastic surgeon who's like, I see the vision. I love movies. I'm going to
yeah.
donate.
But do they tell you like, no, we don't want this kind, like, do they say like, no, we don't want, like, well, what, depending on the state, I guess you're in, do they say like, no, we don't want cigarettes, or we don't want alcohol sponsorship? Do they say that to you?
Lately, I've been doing really well with cannabis, with marijuana
Okay,
cannabis.
but they don't, but not for every state though, right? So yeah, I was wondering about
In
that.
New York,
Yeah,
yes, in New
yeah,
York.
yeah, yeah. Because
Uh,
there's, like, for example, you can't advertise cannabis on Google. That's red flag. Boom. You can't promote it. You really can't promote smoking. You can't promote alcohol. It's a real different ball game, and I get they're trying to protect us, but what was prohibition? That was supposedly protecting us, but everybody got more drunk during
right, right.
prohibition.
So if it's
Yeah.
not marijuana, I've got vineyards. I've had
Ooh.
vineyards before, and that's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, rest in peace. Do you remember Stephen Ashton from the Wine Country Film Festival? And a little bit, I think it was just slightly south of Napa Valley here. And he had a festival. He'd actually fly people in, and he had his own label, his red label of wine. And he was, and then you'd see him at every single festival, like every festival, every film market, you'd run him, and he's like, yeah, I love this movie. I love this Spanish movie. And I was thinking, like, that's my idea of what it is to run a festival, like drink wine and pick a Spanish movie and flying people to your vineyard, and but it's not like that, is it?
I remember actually at one point he was reaching out. He reached out to me to see about raising funds for his festival
Yeah, yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, it's tough because you're always needing money, and people say, "Oh, it's just a ripoff because they're charging you this," and and don't get me wrong, a lot of bad apples are making it harsh for the real people, by taking their money and not do. I mean, I know there's cases where people get money, there's no festival, like so, but the ones who are really trying and do need the money, they use the money to put good use. If you know that their
Right.
mind is coming from the right area, like no one's doing a festival to make money, no one's doing a festival to take advantage of you. You should commend anyone who does a festival. Like I mean, that's my feeling because everyone's volunteer basically, right? I mean, you
Yeah, I mean,
know,
my job, I get paid for what I do. I don't do it
sure,
volunteer. But
sure, sure,
I'm
sure,
saying
sure.
the goal is to keep on doing the festival over and over and hopefully growing it to, 20, 30 years, 40 years. But,
Good for
there's not,
you.
I'm saying in general, that's for the film festivals that do make it that long. I'm saying
Yeah.
there are a lot of film festivals. Again, sponsorship is so important, and people have always told me that it is a hard job. I'm not going to say it's easy. There's more rejection than not rejection, and that's something that I've
Right.
learned to work with over the years. Is that you just have to, you deal with the rejection, and you just sometimes it's disappointing, but you keep on going, and that's the key.
Well, this is what I want you to do because we're in a dog eat dog world and things are shrinking. Everything is becoming uniform. I want you to take the top 500 festivals, convert them. I want you to run this huge conglomerate of 500 festivals. It'll be all powerful. Everybody will want to sponsor it because they're getting all this outreach. Do that. You heard it here first. Because no one seems to be working with each other or forming alliances, as far as I can tell. So I would, well, anyways, anything you want to close? Any closing thoughts?
No, just that this was great that you had me on. I mean,
Sure.
I hope I definitely gave some information that will help people.
And you say you like 80s movies then? Do you like 90s movies?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Okay, here's a question. No one can really get me. Here's this trivia question, but and then no one has given me a correct answer yet. Name a movie where the end credits has a famous song, but that famous song was not written for the movie. I'll give you an example. Miami Blues with Jennifer Jason Leigh and Alec Baldwin. The end title song is Spirit in the Sky, the 70s song. Shoot the Moon with Albert Finney. The end title song is I Can't Tell You Why by the Eagles. Both songs were not written for the movie. Now don't take the easy way out and say Goodfellas. That's too easy. Or don't say a Tarantino.
How about can I just I'm guessing here.
Go
It's
ahead. I don't know. I can answer if it's a right answer. Go ahead, try.
Top Gun.
No, because that song was written for Top Gun.
Okay, well, it was a try. It was a try.
It was good. It was. Okay, best James Bond movie. Favorite James Bond movie.
I would say with Sean Connery, just any Sean Connerys. I'm definitely a big Sean Connery fan.
Okay, best Kung Fu movie.
Bruce Lee.
Well, that's not a movie though. Okay.
No, oh my gosh. And then I like Jackie Chan too. He's great.
Okay, well, Eric Vollweiler, not Vollweiler, Eric Vollweiler, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And, you're welcome anytime. And anybody has comments or questions for him, you can just talk in the comment box and he'll get them or I'll get them. And, but thanks again and you have a good night.
Thank you. And one question. Oh, I'll wait till you're
Yeah,
done.
yeah. Bye, everybody. See you in 3 hours on my next. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.